Here it is, Saturday of a week that I put the Mustang on jack stands on Tuesday to do a simple oil change and pan gasket replacement on both the engine and the transmission. You might remember in their last episode of Wrenching Cruise, I'd mentioned I was going to be changing the pan gaskets and changing the oil, and that was all coming in. Well, I knew it was going to take me a couple days. Put it up on jack stands on Tuesday, started at the bright early time of 2 p.m., and didn't get the pan off because I knew I had to remove the torsion bar, the cross member, and probably drop the steering. So I got most of that done. And then, of course, Wednesday, the wife, she wants to spend the day with me. So I lost that day. And then, of course, there's New Year's Day. And that's got bowl games on it that I'm not going to miss, so I wasn't out here. So yesterday I figured, get the pan off, get the new gasket in, finish up the trans, be good to go. Ready for a car show today. It's still on jack stands. Let me set the stage. So I get the car up on the jack stands. I figured, okay, no problem. I'll try to think of everything that I need, get that all set up. Took me like 45 minutes just to even get started. No big deal. So anyways, started doing the work, and I just kept fighting the bolts and stuff underneath the car, especially when it comes to the torsion bars. And I probably should have broke my air tools out, but my air gun couldn't break a turd out of a wet bag. Now my air socket ratchet probably could, but I was also trying not to be noisy out here. I have tunes on. I want to hear that. So, it took me 460,000 turns just to get the mounts off for the sway bar. And then I went ahead and I dropped the steering, and that wasn't bad. And then the cross member, the engine cross member. I went ahead and started to break that bolt loose, those two bolts loose. No. I fought and I fought and I fought. I did a little shock therapy, hoping that would help break them loose. Nope. So I thought, I got the great idea. I'll take my jack handle, or I'll put my jack underneath the breaker bar, just so it'll hold it there, third hand, right? And then I'd take the jack handle, and I'd slip it over my breaker bar, and I'll use it as a cheater bar. Well, that worked. After about 6 tries, 16 degrees bending the breaker bar, I was in the kitchen pulling on the leverage, and finally it broke loose, one bolt. I got that loose, and we repeated for the second bolt. So finally, got everything out of the way and the pan down. I go to put the pan gasket on. I don't know why I already had a one-piece silicone, Velcro gasket. I don't know why I didn't order another one of those, because sometimes I get in a hurry and I order in haste to make poor-ass decisions. And this was one of many. So anyways, I went ahead, and when I realized I didn't like how the cork gasket and the rubber crank seals was setting in there, and it looked backwards to me, I figured, what the heck, let me go back down there to the parts store and get me one of those one-piece gaskets, which I did. And then, lo and behold, in that kit, it comes with those handy-dandy snap-ins. You know what I'm talking about. They screw into the block, and you can snap the gasket up on there, and it acts like a third hand, holds the gasket, put the pan up, no problem, right? Well, I forgot a little piece that got in the way of that little plan. Originally, I wanted to drop the starter out because I realized it was in the way on that one corner. So I went to break it loose. Top bolt broke loose. Bottom bolt didn't want to budge. Ended up rounding that off. Really? So I decided, I don't need that starter out of the way. With everything else removed, I should be good to go. So we put the snap-ins in. I go to put the pan up. Well, those snap-ins are 1/2 inch. On the bottom of the block where that pan goes in, what is only 1/2 inch down here? The corners. The rest is 3/8. So guess where the snap-ins have to go? On the corners. Where does one snap-in have to go? next to the starter that doesn't want to come out because it's got a rounded bolt off, and I don't have a stud puller or a hex head puller or whatever the hell puller. So the problem is I have one corner I can't slip up onto one of those long snap ins. It just won't fit, and I don't want to break it in there and block it, and I have to screw with that. So I said, all right, I'm gonna get smart. Now when I say I'm gonna get smart, you know, crap is about to happen. Dumb shit crap is gonna happen. So anyways, I took that snap in and I said, I'll just cut it in half and give myself some clearance. Slipped a little electrical tape on it and said, we'll be good to go. Nope. So what happened was, once I did finally get the pan up in there, now the first time I tried to get the pan up in there like that, I decided to remove that third snap in and I was able to push the gasket up in the crankshaft, you know, valley, no problem. And it held, and I thought, okay, no problem. Well, I got the pan up there and started screwing it down and realized that corner had fell in. Now I'm back to putting that modified piece in the corner. Well, I got that to work. We got the pan up in there. I started to tighten it down, no problem. I thought, okay, we're on our way. Well, I went to take that modified piece out because now I can't get a screwdriver on it. Not only will it spin out by hand like the other three will, I can't get a needle nose plier or a regular set of pliers up in there and get it to turn. Well, actually, I could get it, but I just couldn't get it to turn. Oh, and that electrical tape. Yeah, that pushed up in there with the gasket. So I decided, okay, no problem. You know what? Let's just take the pan back the hell out. So we did. I've lost chance. So pan's back out, all the snap-ins back out. I got that piece out and got the gasket back up in there with the three snap-ins. And that time, I miraculously was able to get everything bolted in with no problem. I thought, okay. I looked outside. It was almost dark. Now, once again, I got started at the bright early time of 2 o'clock. See, I'm on vacation for the last 2 weeks. And anyways, so I thought, you know, I can just get out there whenever the hell I want to and work because it won't take that long. This is simple. Beginning to realize why I call it Busted Nuts Garage. That's because every simple project in this garage turns into a demoralizing battle. But I digress. I ain't mad at nothing. Anywho, so we finally get the pan on, and I said, okay, great. I can start putting everything back together. So, you know, put the steering linkage back up in there. That doesn't take very long. And I got the cross member back up in there. That doesn't take very long. I got to put the sway bar back up in the steering, and I thought, well, you know, I'll just hold it by the, you know, the mounts, and then I can slip everything in with the linkage. Hell no. That's not how that works. I don't care how I tried it. I couldn't get enough thread to get the top 9/16 bolt to bite. So finally, about 9:30 last night, I finally got that sway bar locked into place with 3/4 thread showing. The pan is in. But it's 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. I still don't have no oil in this engine. So now here it is Saturday morning. I'm supposed to be cleaning the car up and going to a car show today, but you know what I'm doing? I'm back out here on this day. I'm going to finish putting oil in this car. I'm going to try to get this transmission pan dropped and the gasket replaced and the 8 quarts of ATF in that, and hope I don't find any wear and tear in the pan. Now the good news out of all this is the oil, the engine oil is clean. There's no metal flakes in it, very clean, no other contaminants, no other fluid showing in there, so I'm really happy about that. But I didn't film this because it's a simple oil change and a simple ATF change and gasket replacement. Everybody does it on a daily basis on their cars. So I thought to myself, why should I film this? This isn't going to be interesting to anybody. Well, I should have, because then you could have had some comedy relief. You could have made fun of me and been a little bit of entertaining because you'd have been maybe even feeling some of this from your own experiences. So I didn't film it, but that's where we're at with the car. Now granted, I've only been on it a couple days. It's been sitting on jack stands for 5. I think that's probably what's got me more torque than anything. And I'm gonna miss the car show today. So today would be an awesome win if I could just get the oil in, the gasket replaced on the ATF and the filter on the transmission, get the ATF in there, have no leaks, and at least take this son bitch on a cruise for a milkshake. You know, sometimes doing your own work blows monkey chunks.